Well, now we are going to start with a different theme. This is lexical and non-lexical fillers. When you talk to someone, like in spoken English, or when you carry on a conversation with someone, you tend to use certain words like all these. These words do not have any meaning at all. So, they are called non-lexical. Okay. So, we are going to see now lexical and non-lexical terms. Lexical. Lexical means words with meaning, and non-lexical. How these are used in a conversation we are going to see now. Okay. So, I will just write down these are lexical and these are non-lexical. What did I say? Lexical means words which have meaning, and non-lexical means words which do not have meaning, but we tend to use it in a conversation. For example, in a conversation, well, you see, actually, you know. Americans sometimes they have this sort of cliched words, you know, like that. Let me see, let me see. O has meaning, okay. O means it's an exclamatory word. Oh, you did it. So, we use that. What else? Of course. My God. Okay, all these are lexical words, and these are words, full words which have meaning. Okay. Now, these also we incorporate in a dialogue. Same way, we have non-lexical terms like we can also say what else? Anything else, like you produce a sound and it does not have any meaning. Okay. These are non-lexical terms. Okay. Now, when you have an informal dialogue, you use all these non-lexical, you do not use these non-lexical terms to your boss or your superiors. Okay. It's not refined. Okay. But you can use all this. When you talk to your higher officials, you should always maintain proper dignity and polite words. Only then they will think that you are also refined. If you keep using you see, sir, like if you are too very casual, they will think that you are not showing respect, you are disregarding them. So, always these lexical and non-lexical terms mainly used to people who are known to you. Maybe you can use well, okay, and my God you can use, but not you see, let me see, all this you do not use to your higher officials, but if you are a higher official you can use it to your subordinates. Okay. So, this in mind, I am going to give you dialogues where blanks I will give. Let me see how you fill in the blanks. Do you have your notebook and pen? Take down and put the dashes and we will fill it up. Okay. This is a conversation between a policeman and Mr. Ram. He is investigating on a murder. Okay. So, the policeman is asking questions. Were you in town last night? Mr. Ram, he just makes some sound. Maybe you can fill in with a non-lexical term. I was certainly in town around midnight. Okay, then the policeman again questions him. Policeman asks, where exactly were you at that time? At 1 p.m. That will be, okay, I will just write 1 o'clock. Mr. Ram. I was in the garage or parking lot of Spencer Plaza. Policeman. What did you see there? Mr. Ram. I saw two men looking into all the parked cars. Okay. Now, if you see, this is the policeman is a higher official, isn't it? He doesn't use any non-lexical filler. But the man, when a policeman is questioning him, he can use the non-lexical fillers because he is just waiting for time to get the words. Okay, he is just pausing, he is just delaying so that he gets the right words to speak to the policeman. Now, what would you like? I have already given you a list of non-lexical terms. What would you put here? Now, were you in town last night? Then he is trying to recollect and say, okay, he is just telling, I was certainly in town around midnight. Where exactly were you at 10 o'clock? I am sorry, it is 1 o'clock, is it? Okay, 1 o'clock. Now, here you can put a lexical filler. Well, I was in the parking lot of Spencer Plaza. What did you see there? Then he is just trying to recollect and say, I saw two men looking into all the parked cars. See, if you just see, we have filled in this dialogue to make it more, natural when we have all these fillers, lexical and non-lexical fillers. Well, this is lexical filler, these two are non-lexical fillers. Now, we will read the dialogue again. Policeman, were you in town last night? I was certainly in town around midnight. Policeman, where exactly were you at 1 o'clock? Mr. Ram, well, I was in the parking lot of Spencer Plaza. Policeman, what did you see there? Mr. Ram, I saw two men looking into all the parking cars. See, now the dialogue is really interesting and it makes sense and also it is natural, isn't it? So, this is how you make use of lexical and non-lexical fillers. I am going to give you a lot of dialogues now for you to practice filling in these lexical and non-lexical fillers. Okay, take down the next dialogue, and the policeman is continuing to speak to Mr. Ram, and let us see what he is asking. Mr. Ram, did you hear a gunshot at that time? Did you hear a gunshot at that time? And Mr. Ram replies, I think I did. Policeman, then why didn't you inform the police? Why didn't you inform the police? And Mr. Ram says, I was afraid that I will be arrested for murder. Okay, so this is a short dialogue, and the policeman asks, don't you know that it's your duty to inform the police of any unusual happening? Don't you know that it is your duty to inform the police of any unusual happening? Mr. Ram. Okay. Now, you find here the policeman is going on drilling Mr. Ram as to more information about what happened in the garage of Spencer Plaza. Okay. The policeman is asking, Mr. Ram, did you hear a gunshot at that time? And Mr. Ram is just hesitating, and then he says, I think I did, because Mr. Ram is scared, he is afraid. Like if he goes to the police, nowadays policemen, whenever people go and inform also, they catch them and put them in the jail and they keep questioning them. So he, in order to avoid any further embarrassments, he just kept quiet. So he hesitates for some time and then says, I think I did. Policeman, then why didn't you inform the police? Why didn't you, if you heard a gunshot, why didn't you come and inform the police? Mr. Ram, well, I was afraid that I will be arrested for murder. Policeman, don't you know it's your duty to inform the police of any unusual happening? He says, yes sir. Yes sir, he says. Okay. So, this is how the dialogue goes between the policeman and Mr. Ram. We saw two short dialogues, how we can fill in lexical and non-lexical fillers. Now, I am going to give you two more dialogues of a different category, and this you can see that Mr. Ram is hesitating and he is waiting for words to speak. So, it is when he uses all these lexical and non-lexical fillers. Even you, when you talk to anybody, to your neighbors or anybody, you can use all these terms, lexical and non-lexical. So, this is non-lexical, this is lexical and this is non-lexical. Okay, next is a dialogue between a customer and a bookstore keeper. Okay, a bookstore keeper, he is going and asking for a book. Okay. He is going to a bookstore and he is asking the person there, sir, do you have a copy of Dr. Kalam's Wings of Fire? Dr. Abdul Kalam wrote The Wings of Fire, very famous book. Okay, it was written by Dr. Abdul Kalam. So, he is going and asking for a copy of The Wings of Fire. Shopkeeper. He pauses for some time and then says, I think we have run out of stock. We have becomes a weaver. Mr. Sam. Will I? Okay, we'll give a dash here. Will I be able to get it next week? And he gives a reply, by then the stocks will arrive. Okay, now let's see. Sir, do you have a copy of Dr. Kalam's Wings of Fire? Shopkeeper, he is just trying to recollect, so he is just using a word. What would it be? Or Now he is sorry that it's not there, so you can use I think we've run out of stock. I think we've run out of stock. Okay, then Mr. Sam says, will I be able to get it next week? Immediately he says, of course. This is a lexical term, of course. By then the stocks will arrive. See now, here we have used two non-lexical fillers and one lexical filler. Now we will read this dialogue again. Mr. Sam, sir, do you have a copy of Dr. Kalam's Wings of Fire? Shopkeeper, I think we have run out of stock. Mr. Sam, will I be able to get it next week? Shopkeeper says, of course, by then the stocks will arrive. Okay, so this is how you fill in with lexical and non-lexical fillers. So you understand how the conversation becomes natural and it is not very formal, it's informal, isn't it? So this is how you should carry on a dialogue with somebody. Okay, now we are going to do a conversation between a doctor and another lay person who comes there to see his friend. He comes there to see his friend who is a patient. Okay. Doctor, see, how is my friend? How is my friend doing, in the sense, how is his health? That is what he is asking. And doctor says, he says something, then he says he is doing fine. But he needs some rest. Okay, next, Mr. Sunil. When would he be discharged? He is under observation. I think we can tell you for sure tomorrow. Okay. Now, if you see, Mr. Sunil is very anxious about his friend who is a patient admitted in a hospital. So, he goes to the hospital and he asks the doctor, "Doctor, how is my friend doing?" And doctor gives a reply. First he uses something and then he says, "He is doing fine, but he needs some rest." So, what shall we put there? We can use a lexical term. You see, he is doing fine, but he needs some rest. Mr. Sunil, when would he be discharged? Okay, then he is asking, well, when would he be discharged? And doctor replies, he uses a lexical filler. Actually, he is under observation. Then he uses one non-lexical filler. I think we can tell you for sure tomorrow. Okay. See how many lexical fillers we have used. Now I will read the conversation again. Doctor and Sunil, Mr. Sunil. Doctor, how is my friend doing? Doctor, you see, he is doing fine, but he needs some rest. Mr. Sunil, well, when would he be discharged? Well, when would he be discharged then? You can add one then also. CH, okay, discharged, CH. Well, when would he be discharged then? Doctor, actually, he is under observation. I think we can tell you for sure tomorrow. Okay. So, this makes complete sense, isn't it? Like when we have all these lexical and non-lexical fillers, it gives more meaning to a dialogue and it makes it very interesting, isn't it? So, always when you talk, you can use all these fillers which makes your conversation more interesting and people will be willing to listen to you. If you just say, doctor, he is doing fine, but he needs rest. Sunil, when would he be discharged? doctor, he is under observation. So, if you add in all these words, it makes the conversation more lively. Okay. So, try it in your conversations, take roles and try to make imaginary dialogues and put in all these fillers and non-fillers and make use of it.